Title: AITA for telling my mom I'm not making her choose because I'm happy to be left out. I'm 26F, recently divorced after learning my sister, 27F, and husband were having an affair. I cut my sister off the day I found out. We have not spoken since, we have not been in the same room for more than 10 seconds, and I will not have a relationship with her moving forward. This year has been rough and COVID made some things easier regarding there was no visiting family, so the pressure was gone. But recently my mom wanted to have a family dinner again, and I told her I would not go because I did not want to be in my sister's presence. She told me I can't avoid her forever, she's my sister and we share family. I told her I can and I will. Her response was telling me I am being unfair making her choose between us, and I said I'm not making her choose because I'm fine not being invited. I know my stance means I will end up being excluded. But I will not play nice with her and my ex. Especially now that they are getting married too. We're never going to play happy families. I don't want to be civil to them. So I would rather not have anything to do with them. And they will never have anything to do with me again. Title: AITA for not letting my niece host her wedding at my castle. 28 years ago my wife and I combined our savings, most of which came from inheritance after my father's passing, and bought our castle in southern Europe. It was actually a derelict farmhouse with some land, but it has a small turret, so our family has always referred to it as the castle. My wife and I decided we'd rather have a small, basic house in our home country and focus our time and resources readying the castle for us to retire in and for our children to enjoy. It took years, but around the time our eldest was born it was finally finished. It's not massive, 5 bedrooms and a small pool in the gardens, but it is our paradise. We've always allowed our families and friends to use it whenever they please, and have spent every summer vacation staying there with our children. Our only stipulation when people stay there is that the master bedroom is off limits. It takes up most of the 3rd floor, with the remaining bedrooms on the 2nd floor. A lot of my and my wife's belongings are in there, and it's also the room we have shared together for over 20 years. Recently my niece got engaged and held an engagement party on Zoom at the weekend. When asked what ideas they'd had so far, she excitedly told me they'd actually been planning to ask us if they could hold the wedding at the castle. I was a bit taken aback but didn't want to outright refuse. I joked it would have to be a rather small wedding since they'd struggle to fit more than 25 people in the gardens. She gushed that she'd already thought it through and they'd put up canopies in the field nearby. We don't own that land, and if all the guests stayed in hotels in the town she would arrange transport for us all to get to the villa. My wife and I bit our tongues not wanting to make a fuss during their engagement celebration. But later when my niece texted me to repeat what she'd said I asked her to clarify the sleeping arrangements, and after some back and forth it came to light she plans to use the master bedroom as the bridal suite and for the wedding party to have the remaining rooms. My wife, children and I would have to stay elsewhere. I slept on my decision and spoke with my wife. On Sunday I responded and politely refused, saying it's too small and we aren't comfortable having anyone in our room. Both she and my sister blew up at me telling me I was ruining her wedding and she'd always dreamed of marrying at the castle. My sister even said since I used my inheritance it's family property, which is obviously ridiculous. ETA when we texted her on Sunday we offered a compromise, no master bedroom, and either get permission, insurances to use the fields, or reduce guest count to 25. We even offered to host a small rehearsal too, but she rejected the offers. Title: AITA for not apologizing to my dad and stepmom for being a nightmare of a child growing up. My dad married my stepmom 3 months after my parents' divorce, and it doesn't take a genius to figure out how their relationship started. I was 13 then. He fought for 50-50 split custody and won it. I took out all my anger and resentment on their household. I was an actual monster of a child while I was with my dad. But my mom had zero issues with me. I was also very well behaved in school. But over the years, I've wrecked a lot of stuff around their house and was generally extremely rude to them. I made both my dad and stepmom cry more than a few times. When I was 16, I stopped going over to their house. I mellowed out with them, but I distanced myself from them. I'm now 28 and recently married. I recently met my dad and stepmom at my grandparents' house for an outdoor barbecue. My stepmom overheard me telling my aunt that I love being newlyweds in a new home. She got extremely upset and said I ruined that experience for her. And she said the least I could do was apologize. I basically scoffed and walked away without even acknowledging her. I think my dad and her handled the situation poorly in general and should have been more proactive about dealing with my issues when I was a literal child. Title: AITA for not allowing my child to have a relationship with their mill. So I, 27F, and my husband, 26M, suffered a miscarriage last year. It was so hard for everyone. There is a tradition in my husband's family to name the firstborn girl Lena, fake name, and the firstborn boy, Jude, real name, but no one in the story has that name, so I think it's fine. Before the miscarriage we had never had a problem with those names and traditions, and I think having family traditions are cute. However, last year, before the miscarriage, we found out she was a girl, so naturally we told everyone her name was Lena. Now I am currently 6 months pregnant and it's another girl. My husband and I just announced the name, Eliana, on Facebook. Most people just commented on how cute the name was or something similar. Then my mill messaged me and started flipping out. She said that we had always agreed the baby's first name would be Lena. I told her our first child was named Lena. We argued for a bit and then she sent a message that read, "The agreement was your firstborn child." Then she sent another message saying no matter what we name our child, she will always call her Lena. I immediately blocked her. I showed the messages to my husband, who was pissed off. He sent her a message to say that we were cutting her off and that she will not get to meet the baby for a long time after it's born. Then he blocked her as well. Lots of family members have been messaging us saying to cut her some slack as she's grieving the fact that she'll never have a grandchild named Lena. My husband's older brother has 3 boys and isn't having any more kids. I feel that her comments were so unnecessary and she isn't respecting that I still think of Lena as my child, but others think I was overreacting and I shouldn't deprive my daughter of a relationship with her grandmother over some stupid remarks. So AITA. Edit: Hi, this is Kaya's husband. I'm reading some of you responses. I just ask that you please stop thanking me for sticking up for my wife. When I got married, I married Kaya, not my mother, so of course I'm going to side with my wife. Thank you all for leaving such kind replies, but I think we should stop congratulating men for doing the absolute bare minimum. Title: AITA for being upset that my older sister told my mom about her pregnancy and plan for abortion at my wedding rehearsal dinner. I got married last weekend and have been waiting to post this in case my feelings subsided, but I'm still pretty upset. Last Friday at my rehearsal dinner, which wasn't even really a rehearsal dinner, just my family and my in-laws getting dinner together after pre-wedding preparation, girls getting their nails done, men getting beards trimmed and haircuts, etc., my sister asked my parents to go outside with her and apparently told them she was pregnant and planned on getting an abortion. I could tell they were noticeably upset when they came back, but that was common after conversations with my sister, because she was a little bit of a wild card. The following day, my wedding day, my mom and sister were very distant and whispering to each other throughout my getting ready, and also spent most of my reception doing the same thing, just this time with my dad. My father missed our father-daughter dance and none of my family made a toast or any sort of acknowledgement really that I had gotten married. I waited until the end of the reception and asked them what was up. My sister told me she was pregnant and getting an abortion on the 20th. I responded negatively, and got angry that she told our parents this at my wedding, and then got angry at my parents for ignoring me my whole wedding, missing our dance and not getting any photos together. I got my husband and we left, and I got calls and texts saying I was being incredibly selfish and that my sister needed their support. AITA. Edit: I don't want any prolifers coming to message me about my sister's getting an abortion. I am pro-choice and 100% support her. I am upset over her choice to tell our family at my wedding. Not upset over her making a decision for her own body. ETA number 2, I am more upset at my parents, and I'm sorry I worded it to make it seem like I was putting all the blame on my sister.